with mild side effects.
Good morning and welcome back to the Mild Side Effect podcast, the most professional pharma podcast in the world, episode 88.
And since no one remembers the previous episodes, we're going to call this episode 1, Mild Side Effects, Why We're Here. So our mission for the podcast is to deliver partially serious takes on the pharma B2B industry. And we warn you, please consult your physicians if mild side effects occur.
So who we are? So we're two guys selling the most exciting part of pharma, stuff that's not the drug, not the active ingredient.
And why? Why we're here? We agreed with Balazs that we need a villa in Crete for our retirement, maybe somewhere west of Chania, overlooking the Cretan Sea, where we could record our episodes on the terrace, overlooking the Cretan Sea at sunset, drinking chilled white wine, Greek, of course, from Crete.
And yeah, we don't know a lot about Vidiano wines, but as we said, we are partially serious. And the serious note is that we are very much enthusiastic about pharma and pharmaceutical industry. And everything was behind the creation of the final product. We work in business development, sales, not marketing, and we wouldn't go further with the abbreviations.
And what we can promise to you that if you're in pharma, in nutraceuticals, or in the case you're interested why pills are shaped the way they are, you're in the right place. In the previous 86 episodes that we recorded, we had multiple guests, we have live shows, and we had pre-recorded ones like this. And well, now we have to redo them, but we are more than happy to do that again. Balazs, so the question is, we discussed in the intro what we do and why we do it, why we came up with the idea of this podcast. And I think it's very strongly connected with what we actually do. So I want to, for this intro, ask you, what do we actually do, Balazs?
So we do sell excipients and capsules. And it's B2B, not to the end user. It goes to the industry. And therefore, it's a little bit complicated. And especially if you try to explain to others what you are doing, it looks like a little bit complicated or indirect, let's put it this way.
So we're not the sexy Jake Gyllenhaals from the movie about sales reps selling Viagra. We're the guys behind the story, right?
Indeed. Unfortunately, and I haven't seen that movie. Unfortunately, I don't know if I lost a lot.
You might have not lost a lot. It's a theory movie about change, but again, we're the guys behind the finished product. So what Balazs mentioned here, we're in the excipients, capsules. We've worked at several different places, so as you might say, we've eaten bread out of several different furnaces. And what we do is we're the guys who are trying to convince the people who are formulating their drugs, but also we spoke a little bit about the nutraceuticals industry, so the dietary supplements, which is, I would say, very similar, but unregulated, or at least not as regulated as the pharmaceutical industry, right? So I mean, Balazs, your experience. You mentioned capsules. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I'm a chemical engineer, and I started my job in plastics and polymers.
Oh.
And when my original company collapsed, I switched back a decade ago to life sciences,
Mhm.
which was my original passion, and that's the short story. And yeah, and what about you?
Well, I'm not a chemical engineer, but I'm a chemist. So some people say that's the inferior guy without the engineer title. But again, that was my choice.
We don't
I
do engineer
I
level.
I No, I actually got an application to the Warsaw Polytechnic, but I decided I'm more of the university guy. I was interested in science, so again, I'm a chemist. And my initial experience wasn't with the chemical industry. Straight after university, I worked in the medical device industry. So again, maybe a little bit connected to the plastics. Um, and then 12 years ago, I transitioned into this industry, and my first role was actually in the pharmaceutical excipients. I worked in distribution, so I had multiple suppliers. I could learn a little bit more about different technologies, all its oral solid dosage form, liquids, that sort of stuff. And then gradually transitioned into other roles, into corporate roles where I was working just like you for some similar companies
For a
in
while.
the lactose space, in the capsule space, and now I'm focusing more on what is called patient-centric dosage forms, or consumer centric dosage form, something that is easy to swallow, a little bit outside of the traditional pill.
Nice, nice. Let's talk about some real fun stuff. What was the weirdest product request you ever received? Can you tell any?
Not the weirdest request that I received from a customer, but you know that we've got a lot of strange things happening on LinkedIn. And this was a time where I was working in distribution, and one of the key products that I was selling were silicones. Silicones for the pharmaceutical industry, for the medical device industry. So, for example, one product from that area is simethicone. A lot of people don't know that the drug that you're taking for stomach discomfort, where you have, you can say, gas in your stomach that comes from digestion, that's a silicone. And then the other part, the bulk of the business also were the silicones for medical device. So the weirdest, um, maybe not inquiry but proposal, was from a Chinese company, and I will not name them right now because, not that I don't want to share them, but I completely don't remember their name. They were proposing that they would become a supplier for us with silicones, silicone rubbers, things like that. And when the lady was sending the brochure, there were pictures of dildos there. So that's of course that's an application for silicones where that industry also uses medical grade silicones.
For
I would
fully
say that
medical,
that's
okay.
the weirdest one that I had in my life. What about you, Balazs?
So I also have a few quite weird one, but probably the weirdest was that I started to work with capsules, and there was a request coming that somebody has a project with stem cells, and I said, "Oh my God, this is really
Hmm.
serious." And stem cells through oral delivery and in capsules. Oh my God, that sounds sounded very strange, and it
Mhm.
was very
Mhm.
strange because it turned out that somebody thinks that they can buy stem cells preserved from whichever platform it is,
Mhm.
then they can fill it
Mhm.
as a powder or granules to capsules and administer it orally in a capsule without any kind of medical or any pharmaceutical registration, just without
Mhm.
even a notification as a food supplement, maybe notified. And I
Mhm.
was really shocked by the idea that somebody has this kind of approach and this kind of audacity to do that. I didn't
Mhm.
push that project further, and I simply stepped back and I said, sorry, cannot contribute to this project. It's too much for me. And I mean, stem cells is quite serious, and they do work when they are in the right place and
Mhm.
administered
Mhm.
correctly for sure. But without knowing how they are preserved and if they are preserved, and do it as a food supplement, I don't think that's
Uh-huh.
a good idea at all.
I think this is becoming a good idea for a future episode because we could probably get from our viewers, from our listeners. We know that you're out there. We've seen the dozens of messages and thousands of likes and follows. By the way, follow us on LinkedIn. Um, that we could definitely make an episode about these sort of strangest product inquiries. I could maybe think of some more here. Then definitely. Yeah, that's definitely an interesting topic. Let's talk now about something a little bit different. Biggest failures.
Biggest failures in terms of management, the biggest failures in terms of product development.
Uh,
Heading to
Treat it as a very open subject. It's not considered, specifically related to any uh, development or anything. Just biggest failures.
okay. Um, so biggest failures for me, well, what I've seen in the industry is usually when management miscalculate the trends and then they
Hmm.
push price increases against the winds. And I've seen a couple of those. And I will not name most of them, but the most famous one when the industry picked up after the 2008 2009 collapse of the housing industry, and it was also
Hmm.
heavily seen in automotive and plastics. And management was miscalculating how long this upward trend is going, and was already trying to sail against strong winds and
Hmm.
causing collapsing of the whole customer base, like 40% losses in a quarter.
Hmm.
It,
Hmm.
money wise, this is the worst I've seen. But I've seen also in pharma industry strange things on stocks like Pfizer, which I like a lot, and as a company, I think a lot about them. I still don't understand how is their stock was performing this after all these successful years and
Hmm.
getting so much known during the COVID time. I
Hmm.
don't understand how is their stock levels, the price level is half of the previous
Hmm.
one. I can,
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
anybody explains that, if maybe our followers knows these changes better than we do, yeah, we would happy to get comments on that.
Yeah. And well, I think what you're also talking about, 2009, 2010, it's a case where people don't learn on the history, and then we have situations like COVID coming up and demand skyrocketing, shooting through the roof, and then management's thinking, wow, this is fantastic, the growth is spectacular, let's extrapolate that line. And then saying we're the king of the world, let's increase. And then suddenly you realize that was just a bubble created by um, demand from COVID because people were not able to get the things that they needed, so they were buying more and more just to keep security. and then suddenly things crash. That's the yeah, that's the interesting one. For me, one of the biggest failures, I mean, that personally, was actually at COVID times. So I've always treated myself. I mean, I like to make fun. I like to make jokes, but like business wise, I try to be a serious person. And when I was in my, let's say, first corporate job, um, COVID came, right? And you're trying to build, your name inside a company. You're trying to build, well, try to build a brand for yourself. Back then, maybe I wasn't thinking in those terms. And then it turns out that you're just a number on an Excel spreadsheet, and they say, let's delete this line on the Excel spreadsheet. So yeah, I think there's a lot of people who were COVID casualties, guilty as charged. I'm one of you, so I would say that's one of my biggest failures. But again, the failures are springboards from which you jump to other opportunities. And I think that that failure was also a huge success for me, because I would have probably not been in the place where I am right now. We probably wouldn't even know each other, Balazs. So
Be a huge miss for sure.
yeah, that would be a huge miss. That would be also even bigger failure then.
Indeed. And that leads also to the next topic that these kind of shaky and catastrophic times are also putting a lot of stress on the family. And
Mm-hmm.
let's agree on that, that our families, they don't really understand what we are doing and how we do what we do. And I remember one time I tried to explain my father that he asked openly that how do you sell all this complicated stuff to all these different people, different countries, different
Mm-hmm.
cultures. And he was convinced that this is all happening by luck, by accident. So it's like a
Mm-hmm.
random, like playing the lottery type of process. And I tried to explain that, yeah, there are still subtle ways to convince people, to help them, to support them, to build relationships,
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff. And he's very old school, and he was saying, yeah, you don't convince me with that. I don't know how it happened on your side.
This is a really funny thing, because I had this colleague of mine who worked in a completely different industry, and for him, selling cycles were much shorter. It's a phone call. It's a quick deal. It's quick sign of the contract. That's it. Done deal. For us, the cycles are often counted in years. Um, uh, the quickest, uh, in the pharmaceutical industry, in the regulated pharmaceutical industry, the quickest I went from initial discussion to a contract was, I think, 15 months. That's considered. You have experience with regulatory, so with approvals of products or approvals of changes. So that's considered rather a faster timeline. But our timelines are typically 2 years, 3 years. Right now, I'm also working a little bit in the vaccine adjuvant space, and that's a completely different animal. That goes into a decade, basically. So that's explaining to friends what I do, and that I'm selling something that has a cycle of approval of 2-3 years. They were like, "What?"
Yeah, it makes no sense to them. And yeah, it's
Uh,
also depending a little bit the industry and what type of regulatory change it is. Is it in Europe?
mhm,
Is it not? How bold and how adventurous the regulatory teams
mhm,
are. I happened
mhm,
to work with 3 years with some very adventurous regulatory teams. Um, Yeah. And yeah, it's also very much depending on the final dosage form. So yeah, if it's a complicated one, if it's a life-saving drug, if it's a major change, it takes much more time usually. Major change. I took this
Uh,
unintentionally.
Okay, good. So then, you know, when we're in this industry, and we always have a talk about dosage form. The the biggest conflict out there is it tablets or is it capsules? So you're the capsule guy, and I'm the pill guy.
You are our pill.
Roast me right now, my friend. Roast me.
Yeah,
Tell
go on.
me why
Yeah.
capsules.
So why capsules? Capsules always better. They are the best capsules. We have the best capsules. You know these stories. Uh, and yeah, it's the diameter what matters in swallowing.
Mm-hmm,
And this is what matters. If even if it's long, the diameter what matters in
mm-hmm,
patient compliance. And yes, capsules are easy, but they have their limitations for sure. Any
mm-hmm,
uncoated pills and tablets, they are a nightmare to swallow usually. And you see all those people who have issues with that, and they sometimes even crush aspirin and
mm-hmm,
methadone or all kind of other tablets and put it into water, and it's horrible. But they rather chug down, drink a very bitter,
mm-hmm,
even disgusting liquid than
mm-hmm,
getting a tablet stuck
mm-hmm,
in their mouth,
mm-hmm,
in their throat somewhere. So that's the short story. But I also know 70% of the case or 75% and dosage form, even though it's phase two, phase three in capsule, bomb and product in tablets. Because we have the tableting machines, we bought them. The capex is there, it's running. We need to use them, we need to utilize them, and these are all valid points from management, and they do
mm-hmm,
understand. And if I would have tableting machines, I would also try to find products that I would push projects to get in tablets. So
mm-hmm.
it's not black and white for sure, but
But you have the love from the nutraceutical industry. They love their capsules.
yeah, indeed.
They love their products in the capsules because they, of course, make their lives easier. They don't want to use additives. They just want to fill with the actives that they include in the product. So that's where capsules make their lives easier. And again, I'm gonna be here on your side a little bit here because I worked in that space right now. But then, you know, with tablets, it's not only having those bulky, hard to swallow pills, or somebody trying to crush that aspirin tablet because it's, for example, coated and you want it to get into the intestine instead of damaging your stomach lining. Uh, but uh, but tablets come in all shapes and sizes, and they are not only for swallowing, my friend. They are also having a purpose where they melt or disperse in your mouth, and then you don't have problems with swallowing. One of the applications there, you know, for pediatric and geriatric drugs, you can easily overcome swallowing issues. The main issue might be then, you know, the taste of it, but you can deal with these sort of things easily. But so we come to the conclusion, you know, that capsules, tablets, they live in a let's say some sort of synergy between them. You know, you can produce it here, you can produce it there, but let's talk about something that we can roast together.
Yeah, and they are the gummies for sure. Yeah, no question about that. It's great dosage form. A lot of people think that, and I have a rant, and I have a 45 minutes no breathing rant on all the production and the backlash on gummies, and yeah, I know it improved a lot, and they
Mhm.
became better, but yeah, it's still not a pharmaceutical dosage form for me, and it never will.
And quite recently there were, and I'm sorry for my I'm trying to get rid of my um there were tests ongoing for the content of the actual actives inside those gummies. And of course, we have friends out there who work in that industry. And guys, we're not trying to roast you, but there were creatine gummies, I think. Those were the ones, and they went through external testing. I think it was like over half of them didn't even have creatine inside. So that's the point of the nutraceutical industry, where it's unregulated, and there's nobody doing testing. We just take our word for it. It's in there.
It's
Um,
Yeah, and let's be honest, and follow us on, there will be a session on bodybuilding and mostly focusing on steroids. And it will be super exciting on all the naproxens and nandrones and all these products, but also creatine will be part of that story. You know, at least you need 5, 6, 10 grams, but people take also 25 to 50 and
mhm.
having explosive diarrheas out of that for sure. They take this much creatine, but yeah, can you take this much gummies? Yeah, questionable. Yeah. But for kids, yeah, it's a good dosage form. Let's agree on that.
Indeed, indeed. Good. So here we are at the end of our introduction. I hope that we made it clear who we are, why we're here, what we're going to be talking about, and then Balazs signalized that there will be some specific topics. That's probably in episode 112. I don't know if I calculated that properly, but that's coming somewhere down the line, where we're not just going to be talking about general stuff and our experiences. We're gonna talk about really specific topics relating to the pharmaceutical industry, of existing hurdles, or somebody overdoing things or doing things wrongly. We had this, what we called, trailer of episode 88, where we were talking outside of the Gdańsk Philharmonic. You can see that recording on LinkedIn, where we talk about some claims that are made, which are, in our case, a rather big no-no.
Or you
Um,
formulate them carefully, yes.
yeah. So that's a teaser for you, what we plan to talk about in the future. Well, that was a fun episode, and since we are called mild side effects, our mild side effect of the episode is, Balazs, what?
It's the sound quality we are constantly fighting with.
We recorded 88 episodes, but it seems like we're still learning the process. So forgive us for the shitty sounds, and we're going to improve on that. That's going to be our mild side effect of the day. Um, but before we end, we wanted to play a little game where we noted down, some things that we were expecting the other party to say. We know each other a little bit, so we were trying to make a little game. Um, um,
So I
Balazs,
was
Balazs,
expecting,
Balazs, Balazs. Yeah,
yep.
you can start. Yes.
So I was expecting that you say that it is what it is, but seems that you are out of that, and it's not great.
It's a positive day. The sun is shining outside, so I'm a little bit positive today. I probably, after we finish recording, I go outside and enjoy some sun rays that are appearing on the autumn sky in Poland.
Keep that mood.
Um, we what I did actually note down is the word generally. So you might have seeing me saluting. That's something that is coming from the TV series How I Met Your Mother.
From the major side effects.
From the major side effects.
Yeah,
These are
I
minor side
understand.
effects, so we don't have a rank in the military there. But that's the one that I caught. And the other one that I had is Balazs roasting gummies. I had
Yeah,
that and didn't disappoint.
yeah, that's always like that. I'm quite predictable. You can see it. Good, good, good.
Um, anything else?
Nothing else. Next recording will be done at CPHI in Frankfurt. Very adverse and diverse conditions. Let's see how it goes. Let's hope for the best and
We're not
follow
going to
us.
be in front of our microphones and our cameras. We're going to be doing it on a selfie stick recording with the noise in the background, so you won't hear the feedback from the microphones. Hopefully, for the next recordings like this, we will solve that issue. But you will maybe hear the crowd noise in the background, depending on where we'll be. Our schedules, I think, Balash, are both pretty tight. So
Indeed.
we're going to try to do it very early or very late.
Mm. But
Um,
we will be dressed much sharply than today, and yeah, will be very exciting. And therefore, follow us on LinkedIn or
mildsideeffects.com. We have a website.
see you.
Thank you. Bye.